road. It's Mashia Williams, the senior from Erie. And Penn State playing with wonderful energy.
And think about this, we're just a minute and a half over into this ball game. We've had 2 great three-point shots. You see there, the Lady Lions defense has done wonders for them the past few games. And now you've got an early foul here that puts you at the free throw line. They're doing the right things early to win this basketball game.
Mashia Williams, a senior from Erie, PA, missed 5 games earlier in the year, injured her hand. She has great speed, and she is an excellent defender. Renee Montgomery, flawless performance against Oklahoma. Gets some help in the backcourt from Carolyn Doty. Maya Moore, pull up. A little too strong. Look at Charles. Those long arms. Kick out Montgomery. Yes.
Now look at Penn State racing out to answer very quickly.
Well, talking to Coquise Washington, you really felt that they were going to try to slow the tempo of this game down and play a lot of zone, but they capitalize in transition.
And I think that's smart. You want to take the opportunities anytime they come to you. And defensively, they've moved a soft press up just to slow the UConn offense down enough to not make this a running game.
Trogo hands off to Brianna O'Rourke. She had 13 assists against Coppin. Eyes up, inside, well defended by Charles. And traveling violation against Penn State.
That play got out of sync. You needed one more pass. O'Rourke needed to pass to the wing, hit Trogo, and then the bounce pass to the inside. More oftentimes than not, you cannot get a pass from the point guard into the post without seeing a turnover.
Transition. Signature of UConn. They convert on a lot of easy baskets. Penn State answers. Grant off the glass. Excuse me. Mashia Williams. She has 4. UConn, from a tempo standpoint, they just attack. Charles in the paint. Yes! And there's the emotion.
There's no speed that UConn can't handle. They want to keep things as quick, up-tempo speed as possible. And Penn State obviously wants to slow them down. And it's the little things that makes this team so strong. It's a second chance points. Look at Tina Charles splitting the defenders, then getting herself to the right side of the basket so that she can shoot a bank shot and make it easy to put it through.
Tina's a junior from Jamaica, Queens. 16 points a game. 7 rebounds, and you think about the minutes in a lot of their blowouts, it's not like she's logging 35 minutes a game.
No, these young ladies haven't had to put any more than 25 to 30 minutes in per ball game because they're beating teams by 40 points. So what's the use of keeping your starters in? You want to keep those legs fresh.
UConn's coming off a 96-37 destruction of Holy Cross. Doty off target. And quickly, 10 for 10 becomes 0 for 2 today.
And Doty's got a great background story. She tore her ACL, missed her entire senior season of her high school career without playing any basketball. She comes in now as a freshman, and Coach Auriemma talked about her confidence and the way she shoots, the way she performed against Oklahoma on national TV was unbelievable.
Grant, nice looking move, can't buy the bucket. It's a reset for Penn State. O'Rourke off target. Montgomery so poised, so in control. Moore thought about 3. Sloppy passing from the Huskies. Penn State has numbers. It's a 5-on-4. Good look inside. No basket. Traveling violation against Janessa Wolf. Penn State standing toe-to-toe with UConn. Gino Auriemma. They have their hands full here from the Garden. Certainly a busy time of year. Madison Square Garden. Great start by Penn State. 5-4, the Lady Lions are. Second year for Coquise Washington. A week ago, a home loss to Dayton. bounce back with a win against Bucknell, and they're off to a good start. What are they doing well right now?
I think they're playing with more aggression than UConn is. They're making smart decisions, taking open shots, slowing the offense up. They're not showing any sense of being scared of playing the #1 team in the country, and sometimes that makes all the difference in the world.
UConn settling for some outside shots as Maya Moore is off target. Shea Williams, 5'10" senior. Penn State now using a little of the clock. Oohs and ahs from the crowd, and that's a third turnover for the Lady Lions. Last year, finished the year 13 wins, 18 losses. Hard to believe they lost their last 12 games. 3 straight losing seasons, but you get the feeling that they're starting to turn the corner. I love this young coaching staff.
You've got to love it, and you look at the staff. You've got 3 members, including your head coach, who have WNBA experience. And tell me there's some young high school girl out there who doesn't look at that and say, yeah, I want to be a part of that program.
Tina Charles has WNBA written all over her. She has 8. And Penn State answers. Brianna O'Rourke.
O'Rourke is a tough player, showing no sense of hesitation going into the lane. She averages 6 rebounds a game, so you know she gets in there down and dirty with the bigs.
Charles in the paint, stripped by Grant. Williams looks to run. Kick out. Grant off the mark, and that ball goes to UConn. It's Penn State coaching staff. I mentioned Coquise Washington. There you see some of their assistants.
And again, look at the history. You've got Etora Coleman, who comes from Houston, Coquise Washington, that also played for Houston, an established, well-known WNBA team until obviously just recently we saw them dismantle the team. But again, think of the experience that puts in place for these young kids coming into the program.
Coquise is about as sharp as it gets. Graduate of Notre Dame. She's got a law degree. She was actually the first president of the WNBA Players Association. She's an assistant coach for Notre Dame in 2001 for Muffet McGraw. And guess what? They won an NCAA championship that year.
Yeah, so she also knows how to win the big games, and she was a very important part of their run, doing some scouting on some major wins. That year, Notre Dame took out UConn. It was the first team to do it in a very long time.
Surprise, surprise, we're tied up at 13. Maya Moore has yet to find her rhythm. O'Rourke, nice little bounce pass. 4-year starter, and she just exudes experience and control.
And she's got the ball completely in her control. Great to see 2 experienced players go head-to-head in Montgomery and O'Rourke. So whoever manages the game better, I think, has an excellent shot to win.
Grant draws the foul against Tiffany Hayes. That's her first. For up-to-the-minute news for everything that is college sports, log on to ESPNU.com. If you don't have ESPNU, be sure to log on to ESPNU.com, type in your zip code at the top of the page, or call your local cable operator or satellite provider. A lot going on right now in college sports. The Men's College Cup today in Texas. Maryland looking for another championship. Bowl game season right around the corner. Both these teams have football teams that will be playing in bowl games. Penn State, of course, in the Rose Bowl against USC. UConn, under Coach Randy Edsel, will be playing in the International Bowl. That's January 3rd against Buffalo. That game can be seen on ESPN2.
Boy, college football was just awesome to watch this season, wasn't it?
The Heisman last night going on a few blocks from where we're staying in our hotel. And I think Heisman, I think Wade Trophy, and we're seeing some women who will be talked about as Wade Trophy finalists play today. Nice ball movement by Penn State. They look to run. Oh, nice handle underneath the hoop. Rashida Mark a little banged up. Melissa Knowles, our reporter's got more about college football.
You know, I cover the Big 12 a lot, and we have the Big 12 This Week show that comes on Thursdays on ESPNU at 6 p.m. And let's not forget that last night the Heisman Trophy was awarded to Sam Bradford from Oklahoma, the sophomore. He's just the second sophomore to win the Heisman Trophy. Tim Tebow won it last year. And I just want to congratulate Sam Bradford on a wonderful season, and it's not over for them. They've got the BCS National Championship coming up here in just a little less than a month.
We'll see if their defense can handle Tim Tebow and the Florida Gators. Every time I watch football out of the Big 12, it's almost like watching 7-on-7 football. There's not much defense in that conference.
And the score is like watching a basketball game.
5 turnovers now for Penn State. But they're hanging tough, tied at 13 apiece. It's the 3rd annual Maggie Dixon Classic. This is game 2. Rutgers beat Army in game 1. Lauren Dixon off the bench into the corner. Tough shot as Gino Auriemma goes to his bench early with Tiffany Hayes, the freshman from Lakeland, Florida, off target.
And this may be a factor, something that obviously hasn't affected Penn State. But right below this floor here is a level of ice. This is where the New York Rangers play hockey. There was a game last night. I'm sitting here pretty cold. I can imagine being out in a uniform. You know, sometimes it has an effect on the way you shoot the basketball. But playing and ready, UConn's just not playing real well right now.
They're 1 of 9 from outside the arc. Janessa Wolf, little handoff to Rashida Mark. And here comes UConn. This is a UConn team averaging 95 points per game. Ooh! Physical play inside. O'Rourke comes up with the ball. Kick out. Mashia Williams. Yes!
Now you've got to admire the fight in the Penn State Lady Lions right now. They are beating UConn to every loose ball. They're going after the rebounds and just out-hustling the Huskies.
Penn State has shown up from Happy Valley, and they're giving the #1 ranked UConn Huskies everything they can handle. Today's game is being broadcast in spectacular HD on ESPNU. It's game 2 of the 3rd annual Maggie Dixon Classic. Don't adjust your screens. Yes, folks, Penn State off to a very, very solid start. Why are they giving Connecticut fits at this point?
They've kept the ball out of the paint, and that's very important because UConn loves to run. They haven't been able to establish a transition game. They love to score inside. They haven't been able to get those points in the paint, and they're not getting many second chance opportunities.
Baseline, Renee Montgomery. She's got 5. She scored double-figure points in 16 straight games. O'Rourke hounded by Dixon, who's extremely quick for UConn.
Yeah, you cannot shake a defender like Dixon.
Shot clock at 10. Little push off, no call. Too strong, but a second chance for the Lady Lions. And this is where they'll try to shorten the game.
They're going to try and run that same thumbs down play. They couldn't get the entry pass into the post the last time. Now we'll see the play develop.
Trogel tied up, triple teamed. Excellent steal by Kylie McLaren, the 6'2 junior from DC. College basketball on ESPNU continues tonight. Scotty Reynolds and Villanova, they're ranked number 12 in the nation. They face LaSalle. That's 7 o'clock on ESPNU. Big East on the men's side, wide open this year. 8 teams in the top 25. On the women's side, 5 teams in the top 25. UConn, unanimous #1 in all the polls. Maya Moore is back from a brief rest on the bench. Lauren Dixon to Montgomery, NBA 3. Tough rebound inside.
And you see again, UConn having to settle for that outside jump shot. Penn State just beating them down the floor.
Penn State has not shown any signs of being intimidated by this #1 team in the nation. Meredith Monroe is fouled by Kylie McLaren.
I'm not surprised that they haven't shown any signs of intimidation because they're coached by Coquise Washington. She comes from a historic program. Muffet McGraw, one of the best coaches in women's basketball. Notre Dame was one of those teams that when I was in college, when they won the national championship, when they beat UConn, it was putting a team other than the UConns and the Tennessees of the world on the map.
Carolyn Doty picks up a foul off ball. This is a Penn State team. Friday took a bus from Happy Valley. They practiced in New York on Saturday and then went to Phantom of the Opera. Lucky ladies.
Yeah, gotta check out a show when you're in town, right? I chose to go shopping. They went to a show.
Notice you had a little FedEx package that you're sending home this morning in the hotel.
A few purses here and there. Yep.
Got out of New York. With, there's the sharpshooter, Carolyn Doty, the freshman from Doylestown, PA. UConn by 1. Williams, tough shot. She has had an injury-plagued career, a knee, a nose, a hand, and she is everywhere right now.
You talk about keeping your composure. The moves were difficult, but then you run into some contact and you still finish.
Grant gets inside, follow-up, no good by McLaren. Here comes Dixon. She's fouled. The speed of Dixon and Montgomery lead to a lot of fouls.
Yeah, here we see that last move. They get the hesitation, behind the back, the bump, and the finish. And all with an injured hand, so not too bad.
She wears number 5 because her mom has 5 kids from Erie, PA. Talk about lake effect snow up there.
She was also voted as the one on the team you don't want to mess with. After that last shot and some fantastic plays she's put together so far today, I'm not surprised.
She's averaging 7.5 points per game. Missed 5 games early season. Got to kind of manage her energy level from a fitness standpoint. About 8.5 minutes to go. Penn State looking to upset the number 1 ranked UConn Huskies. Unanimous number 1, and there's Maya Moore. Montgomery, one-on-one. Gorgeous pull-up.
That's the best shot that she has in her arsenal. Off the fast break, stops on a dime, elevates, and just has a beautiful release.
Body control and balance. Running full speed, she's able to square up to the hoop.
And I want to go back to the point you made before about Montgomery and Dixon being able to out-hustle anybody else on the floor. Look at Maya Moore. Look at those arms. You're not going to pass that ball above her. And again, look at the fast break, the stop. She looked off her defender as if she was going to pass the ball to Doty. Stops with a jumper.
Maya Moore, the super sophomore from Georgia, a historical freshman year, national freshman of the year, Big East player of the year, and having spent time with her 2 years ago at the McDonald's All-American game, a really special young woman, both on and off the court.
She had one of the most accomplished rookie seasons in the history of the NCAA. Big East Player of the Year, the Rookie of the Year. She was added to the Wooden and Naismith List awards, throughout the midseason. That doesn't happen for a freshman. You're seeing somebody that is going to develop into one of the best, if not the best player in women's college basketball history.
3 lead changes in the last minute. Another steal by Moore. Can she convert? She's picked up the defensive intensity on 2 straight possessions.
She's accounted for 2 great plays here in the last few minutes. Everybody gets excited when Maya gets a chance to deflect that ball in the lane. Everybody wants to see a dunk here, including myself, of course.
Little 1-3-1. Zone is causing Penn State some confusion. Another steal. Doty has numbers. Sloppy pass. Great rebound by Charles. She had the inside position.
And we're probably seeing the rust start to shake off quite a bit for the Huskies. It took them to a slow start. I like the way Penn State came out and played. Now what they have to do is adjust to this defense. And UConn, better than anybody else, really makes you play out of your game.
Here come the Huskies. You can sense it. Momentum has shifted. More like the look of that shot. What an effort to keep that ball alive. UConn now playing with their typical energy.
And when they sense you taking a step back, they're going to shove it full down your throat and pick up the speed, pick up the defensive intensity, and try to bust that lead open as quickly as they can.
Charles has 10. Interior passing. UConn on a mini run of their own, starting to look like their #1 selves. Starts with the defense and Maya Moore. Eastern, the great college town Oxford, Ohio is.
Grew up right outside Oxford, actually.
Not easy to get to, but a gorgeous, the quintessential college town. If you were filming a movie, I would use Miami of Ohio as my set.
You know, they used to call it J. Crew U because it was so picturesque.
Be nice.
Oh no, that was a compliment. I love Miami. That was my second choice if I didn't play basketball at Coastal Carolina.
Quite a difference. Central Ohio.
Yeah, to the beach.
The beach.
Yeah.
UConn on a 6-0 run right now. That timeout couldn't have come at a better time for Penn State. And the Lady Lions have not beaten the #1 team since 1991. UConn has shaken off the rust of a 10-day layoff. Whistle on the baseline, and that's going to be an offensive foul, I believe, on Tina Charles.
I didn't quite see how that developed. My thoughts are she probably used a bit extra of an elbow there underneath the basket. UConn's had some issues trying to pass, make too many passes underneath there instead of just going up strong and trying to create the foul. Still fall back into that matchup 2-3 zone. It's caused a lot of problems for Penn State.
It really has. Melissa Knowles, our reporter, has more.
During that last timeout, Coach Washington was telling her team, settle a little bit mentally, get that intensity back that you had when we first came out. She liked the energy they came out with. She wants them to get back in this and not let those little mental mistakes that they're making right now get in the way of them continuing to press hard against this UConn team.
Thank you, Melissa. Good start, Coach Washington and this Penn State team coming in 5-4. After a Dayton loss last week, Coach Washington took away the locker room and practice gear privileges. She sent a message loud and clear because in their next game against Bucknell, they took a 30-7 lead. So many times you see that now in college sports where athletes take privileges for granted.
That's a page straight out of Coach Stringer's playbook from Rutgers. And actually, she's done the same thing, too, until those guys get back on the right page and get moving forward.
Tyra Grant's got 7. Coach Washington spoke about the legacy of Penn State's women's team. 21 NCAA tournaments. It's a rich history. 4 Elite Eights, 2000 Final Four. And that's the goal for the Lady Lions. Put themselves back on the national stage. Moore floating in front of Montgomery. Doty pump fake, pushed off, obvious.
And that's fantastic defense because you anticipated where the offensive player was going to go. And look at Tyra Grant set her feet up. She stays low, puts her body in front of the offensive player, and, you know, maybe does a little acting. But either way, awesome defense there by Penn State.
O'Rourke, who's like a coach on the floor. Long 3 by Megan Quinn.
You know, because we're in the Gardens here, players will definitely have a tendency to step a little bit back behind the regular three-point line to show they can shoot from NBA range, and you got to get over that. Just go to where you know your ranges and stick to it.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to be playing a women's college game without the men's college line, which can be tough at times, I think, for these young ladies visually.
I think it's good in this arena because there's not 3 lines there. That would be really confusing.
Moore. Nice look inside. What a pass. Seamless.
It's a great dish, and that's the things that no one ever talks about Maya Moore. Her passing capabilities and her unselfishness is something that makes this team so good. she's not really concerned with scoring all the time. She just wants the team to win.
Multifaceted skill set. We've seen the steals. That was a great example of her passing. Grant from downtown. Great box out by Kaylana Green. Moore starting to feel it.
You got the defense, the passing ability, and now her ability to take over a game and start scoring, and that's why she is so special.
UConn by 8. They trailed in this ball game, and they've rallied. Tina Charles, she's got 12 points. UConn back on top. Against non-ranked opponents. They're on an 11-2 run right now. They have the lead by 8 behind Maya Moore and her endless skill set.
She is no doubt the complete player. Look at this pass here. The no-look pass down to Tina Charles has helped contribute to the 12 points that Tina Charles has. And then on the other side of things, of course, she can shoot. Now, she's only got 5 points. She's shooting 2 of 6, a couple rebounds. If she can easily get back in this game, get up to her 18 points a game average. But as we just mentioned before the break, it's not about the points for her. It's about making her team better and getting a W.
She took extra shots in practice on Friday. Shay Ralph, assistant coach, who was on a recruiting trip, called her up and said, make sure you stay after practice on Friday and work on your outside shot for 15 minutes. And there she was, putting in the time to improve her game. Too easy.
How about the 1-2 punch coming from Charles and Moore? They work so well together.
Ooh, nasty rebound inside. Good sportsmanship shown by both athletes. When Tina Charles and Maya Moore team up, I mean, it is tough to get away from their length. Watch this. Oh, here's the steal from the backside.
And they're so great athletically. You see the tip by Moore, the recovery by Charles, who was smart enough to keep her eye on the ball and then got the assist right back to Moore.
Another steal by Moore. Good defense. Julia Trogel, a sophomore from Devon, PA, was born in Germany. Excellent hands.
Well, Trogel played for the German under-20 national team this summer. She averaged 13 points and 9 boards. She's had some experience playing against better players.
Montgomery, rhythm 3, too strong. Dixon. Green to Moore. And a foul against Renee Montgomery. College basketball, ESPNU continues tonight. Scotty Reynolds and the Villanova Wildcats facing LaSalle tonight at 7 o'clock on ESPNU. Jay Wright, the Villanova, where they hope V stands for victory. Big win last week over St. Joe's. And how about Georgetown on the men's side, beating Memphis down in D.C. Big East is stacked both on the men's and the women's side this season. Dixon gets a screen. Nice ball movement. Under 2 minutes to go. This is the 3rd annual Maggie Dixon Classic. Excellent hands. Janessa Wolf with the block.
You know, I'm sorry, I was just going to say, it's interesting to see UConn taking so many outside shots in the last few minutes when that run they generated was because of the defense and the inside play.
The lead is 10, and this is a key moment in this ball game. If you're Penn State, you've played so well, you'd hate to go into halftime down more than double digits.
Well, Penn State has not been able to put together any type of offensive stretch since UConn changed into that zone defense. And you heard Melissa talk about Coquise Washington telling her team to settle down and take a step back, but to play with the same aggression you had in the beginning of the game. And if you're a Lady Lion, you need Mashia Williams to come back out and to score some more for you. She was the one that really got things going, I thought.
Brianne O'Rourke has 3 fouls. And she'll get a breather here before halftime. Rashida Mark comes in the ball game, as does Megan Quinn.
Quinn, every minute is critical when you're playing UConn, but Penn State has got to be careful here because with a minute and a half, Huskies could put up 10, 12 points in a hurry. They're that good.
They're the unanimous #1 team in the nation, winning games by an average of 39 points per game. Penn State has no answers for the 1-3-1 zone, but I think UConn's back in man-to-man, correct?
What it looks like they're doing is waiting after the first pass, then going into a man-to-man. So what that does, as the shot clock runs down, you set up your offense as a zone, and then when they switch back, it just confuses you even more.
Oh, nice little dish inside. Charles, try, and look at the big smile.
1-on-4, she's still getting the basket.
She has 16 points. That was all effort. 30 seconds to go before halftime. This is game 2. If you're not with us earlier, Rutgers beat Army in game 1. Rashida Mark travel, yet another turnover for the Lady Lions, who got off to a wonderful start, but things are starting to spiral out of control, and it starts on the offensive end.
It can happen so quickly against this team if you're not careful, and you've got to make sure you're getting the right shots that will put your team in best position to win the game. And with the missed shots and the turnovers from Penn State, this could get out of hand very quickly.
This UConn team right now, 6-0. They're crushing everybody. There's talk that this may be one of the best teams at UConn. I think back to 1995 when they were undefeated with Rebecca Lobo, or 2002, Sue Bird. How good is this team right now?
Well, just take a look at this graphic, and it really tells the story. You're scoring 95 points a game, and you're beating teams by 40 points. You're shooting very well from the floor. You're out-rebounding everybody. And to these ladies, it's not about that. It's about going out and playing their hardest every single day. Renee Montgomery said it best. She said, you know what? I don't have any individual goals. I only want to win a national championship. Been a few years for the Huskies, and I think this year's their time.
You get an opportunity to watch them play 9 times on national TV this winter. UConn right now on a 16-2 run over the last 8 minutes. Working for the last shot. Maya Moore double teamed. Charles. Great hustle, and that will end the first half. UConn, after a sluggish start, coming off a 10-day final exam layoff, but they finished that first half on a 16-2 run, fueled in part by that 1-3-1 zone defense.
Great defense by UConn. It really threw Penn State off their game. You can't adjust when you look like you're playing against a zone, then they switch it up man-to-man.
Melissa Knowles standing by right now with Gino Oriema.
Coach, it looked a little bit uncharacteristic of the Huskies coming out, and you told me a little bit you were concerned about that, having that 10-day labor. How do you think they responded?
Well, I thought the first 10 minutes, it was kind of ragged and it was a little bit rusty. I thought Penn State did a really good job of pushing the ball at us. I thought the last 10 minutes, we kind of regrouped a little bit. We're just getting a lot of open shots in here that just aren't going in. And I think some of our guys are getting a little frustrated, like everybody else is allowed to miss except us. You know?
You won. Okay, we'll send it back to Quint right now.
Thank you, Melissa. I thought what was most impressive about their run, Maya Moore doing it on the defensive end. So much talk about her as an offensive player, being explosive, but the steals.
It's funny, Gino saying, you know, everybody expects everybody else to miss except for us. Yeah, UConn getting it done on the defensive end.
They're allowed to miss. UConn, big run. They're up. Second half coming up. Penn State led in this ball game 19-18, but it's been a 16-2 UConn run, and they have seized control of this ball game.
Now take a look at the first half stats here. UConn getting double the shots that Penn State was able to. Then look at the three-point field goals. UConn shooting just 17%, very uncharacteristic of them. And then obviously the points in the paint and turnovers always make a big difference there. Renee Montgomery is ready to lead her team charged again in the second half. I think you'll see a much bigger difference in energy that comes out of the Huskies.
Fans on their feet in support of UConn, coming off a 10-day final exam layoff. And there were signs of rust early on. You know that this game was circled. Every Penn State Lady Lions circled December 14th on their calendar. Madison Square Garden, Maggie Dixon Classic taking on UConn. Are you kidding me?
And they came and played out with fantastic composure early in the first half, as they're doing early in the second half as well. We just were talking about Mashia Williams needing to get in the ball game. She had a good first half, 7 points, but when UConn changed their defense, went from man-to-man to a zone or a matchup zone or whatever it was that they were playing, that's when we stopped seeing Williams score.
Air ball by Kalena Green. O'Rourke double teamed. Grant, it seems like Maya Moore is everywhere defensively.
Well, she can guard 1 through 5, that's for sure.
Williams may be a bit overconfident.
And that's not the shot that you want. You just got a good jumper. You had a few more seconds. Try and work something into a more productive, efficient shot.
Doty inside. Left-handed, that's Tina Charles. She's got 13 rebounds. Let's check in with Melissa Knowles.
I talked to Coach Washington at halftime, and she said the key for them to come out the fast way that they did was that they were on the attack, and that's what they need to do again the second half. The zone did slow them down, but they've got to be physical and play aggressive. That's the key to them getting back in that first half form that we saw.
Thank you, Melissa. Coach Washington has said we have to be able to take the other team's punch and fight through it. Well, they certainly felt the punch from UConn late stages of the first half.
And they're only down 11 at this point, so they've got a fantastic opportunity to claw their way back into the game.
15 points for Tina Charles. And off that made free throw, here's some pressure from UConn. O'Rourke asking for help, manages to run herself out of trouble. Grant kicks it to Doty. Look out, here comes Maya Moore. Counterattack for Penn State.
Both teams like to play that up-tempo style offense. It's just a matter of who can execute. UConn hasn't been shooting well, but the fact that they're getting off more shots than Penn State gives them the edge.
A diving Doty comes up with a turnover. Great hustle by the freshman from PA. Maya Moore gets away with potentially an offensive foul. Just a little off this afternoon.
She's a little off, and you know, the team as a whole is not shooting real well. They're still fighting hard. Right now, the Lions are fighting harder.
Tyra Grant stared that one down. She's got a dozen. She's had the hot hand lately. 24 points against Bucknell. Followed that effort up with a strong showing here. Madison Square Garden. This is the 3rd annual Maggie Dixon Classic. Game 2 of our doubleheader here on ESPNU. Quint Kesnick, Brooke Weisbrod, Melissa Knowles, and the rest of our ESPNU crew, and what has become an elite event for women's college basketball, where we celebrate the memory of former Army coach Maggie Dixon, playing some pretty good basketball today too. Showtime for Grant. And she draws the foul and a vicious collision.
You could hear her. She came down very hard. She tried to look away the defender. Caroline Doty does a great job of setting up for the charge, as she was moving at the end of that play, so she got the block called rather than the foul. But you see Doty got hit in the face there. And Grant comes down hard.
Doty has 3 fouls. And Grant looks like she's gonna...
Doty's got a bloody nose.
And that was a courageous play by Doty, trying to get her feet set. And she took that one right in the schnoz.
I liked Jamie Dixon's comments about, you know, his pleasant surprise of where this event has come to now, and the potential for its really national presence in the years to come. And he's right about Baylor when he said he's got some of the best talent coming in here next year. There is a 6'8" player by the name of Brittany Grenier, and I'm hoping I'm saying her last name right. You want to see somebody dunk? Watch her on YouTube.
Tonight on ESPNU, Scotty Reynolds and Villanova taking on LaSalle. Jay Wright's Villanova Wildcats, 7 o'clock Eastern on ESPNU. Brief delay there to sort out the injury situation. You're talking about Baylor. Can they challenge Oklahoma in the Big 12 this year?
You know, I think the Big 12 will be a very competitive conference. Along with the Big East, they've got 5 as well in the top 25. So you've got a lot of talent that's spread throughout a few different conferences, Big 12 being one, the Big East, you know, even the Pac-10 and the Big 10 can make some presence. I've never seen such an equal playing field before, maybe taking the Huskies out of it, of course, but such an equal playing field in the women's game. I cannot wait for the tournament this season.
They are playing great defense for Coach Gary Blair at Texas A&M. Texas, Coach Gostencourt's year 2.
She's got a big guest coming in today. Tennessee's playing at Texas.
The road to St. Louis. Every sign, though, pointing that UConn is clearly the favorite. Unanimous #1 team right now in the ESPN coaches poll. You could make the example that they are the North Carolina of the women's. North Carolina Tar Heels dominating the men's, Connecticut dominating the women's.
I think you're exactly right. And, you know, my thoughts at this point is there's one team in this country that could keep up with Connecticut, and that's North Carolina. From a speed standpoint, Carolina substitutes 10 players throughout the course of a game, so everybody stays fresh. So in terms of speed, they're the only guys that I think can stay with UConn, but you know, they are a team that will be very hard to beat this season.
Tennessee right now trailing Texas 43-41. The 2008 national champions lost their starting 5. Pat Summitt, 8 titles. She's approaching 1,000 wins. Hard to fathom.
Incredibly historic for what Summitt's done for women's game. And you know, you ask any regular guy off the street who Pat Summitt is, certainly can rattle off a few of her accomplishments.
Great steal, Tyra Grant. Charles, rejection, but the foul on Machia Williams.
And Tina Charles followed that play all the way throughout. You see her, she's not fouling here, she stays patient. Look at the timing, and then you just throw it into the first row. Unless there was some body contact, I didn't see a foul there. Maybe a little from the chest to the waist, but nothing in terms of the ball. She got all 100% of that one.
Tina Charles, disbelief. Shea Williams making the most of this opportunity to play in Madison Square Garden, a senior from Erie, Pennsylvania. You see the wrap she has on her right hand. She missed 5 games earlier this year. She had an injury to that 4th bone in her right hand, the ring finger. She converts. Dixon is double teamed and fouled. That's Caroline Doty.
It's not very attractive, but always makes you look tough as a basketball player.
Dixon, extreme quickness, little handoff to Tiffany Hayes. Freshman from Florida. Moore, deep in the corner. They like it. A lot of UConn fans here in the New York metropolitan area. On their feet is Maya Moore.
How about all 4 teammates coming over to help pick up Renee Montgomery, who showed excellent hustle there, getting on the floor, getting after the loose ball.
It's been a second half defined by collisions. Melissa Knowles has more on young Miss Doty.
Caroline Doty came over to the sideline. It was actually only her right nostril that was bleeding. They plugged it up, they cleaned her up, and right now it's actually stopped, so we should expect to see her come back in this game. She just moved a little bit closer to Coach Ariema.
Wait a second, is this a boxing match or a basketball game?
We've seen some tough shots already.
We need a cut man over there. UConn up by 8. Penn State not going away. More action from the Garden coming up next. For up-to-the-minute news for everything that is college sports, log on to ESPNU.com. If you don't have ESPNU, be sure to log on to ESPNU.com. Type in your zip code at the top of the page. or call your local cable operator or satellite provider. It's ESPNU.com. How about that face paint?
Always count on a Husky fan to do it right for a big game.
Hey, you spend the time putting that kind of face paint, we're going to show you. I mean, we're almost forced to show you.
Better put me on TV if I take the time to look like that.
Little kids all the time. How do I get on TV? How do I get on TV? Just do a good job painting your face. And find out where the camera guys are.
You can sit right behind us. It's usually pretty accessible.
Coach Auriemma's got his game face on. He kind of predicted the slow start coming off the final exams. Rattler for Grant. Can't get it to drop. Lauren Dixon, sophomore. Montgomery. Generosity by Renee Montgomery. She gets that ball in and out of her hands quickly.
Well, she sees the open player more quickly than I think anybody else can do in the country. Maybe Christy Tolliver is a very close second, but you see that she puts it in the right place. All Tina Charles has to do is turn and shoot. There's no adjusting to where the ball needs to be for her to put up a quick shot. And that's one thing that you'd love to have as a point guard, for somebody to set you up for the easy score.
16 points for Charles. Coach Auriemma and his Husky team will hop on a flight tomorrow from New York to Mexico. They're going to be playing 3 games in Cancun, the Caribbean Classic, Washington, Northern Colorado, and Florida State. It's a round robin. It's actually not a tournament format, but an opportunity to get some sun and put some extra time in on the court.
Sounds nice to get a break from the northeast cold in the wintertime. Go down to Mexico.
No ice storms down in Cancun.
You think they need an extra play-by-play and a color person down there?
They're well covered.
I can clear my schedule.
O'Rourke. Dixon, athletic play on the baseline, but stepped on the line. She has got wonderful ballistic quickness. Great feet.
And it's neat to see the combination of Dixon in the game with Renee Montgomery, because you move Montgomery to the 2 spot. That's where she had to play last year. So now she's got experience in doing it. Dixon can learn under the best point guard in America to find out how to play better. When you put him in the same spot, you've got just incredible speed at the 1 and 2 positions.
Doty checking back in the game. That's Carolyn Doty, the freshman coming into this afternoon's game, had hit 10 straight 3-pointers. It's a school record. She is quite a gunslinger. She's going to be a big fan favorite in stores.
She's quickly becoming the next superstar for the Huskies. Building a bigger fan base day by day. A lot of the blogs like to hear what she's doing and how well she's doing. And she's got a great personality, and Coach Auriemma obviously likes the way that she's come out and performed as a freshman.
Maya Moore is fouled by Renee Womack of Penn State. It's Carolyn Doty. Has a twin brother, Kevin, and a younger brother, Michael. Maya Moore, by her standards, a quiet offensive game. We've seen her impact in other areas, defense, transition, and passing. But she's averaging nearly 20 points a game.
And it's not as if she's taking any part of the day off, effort-wise. She's just choosing to get her other teammates involved. And even when she's not shooting well, you see right there, even with the Penn State score, she's all over the floor. She wants to defend well and do all the little things as well as score to make her team better.
Mashia Williams proving that she's a big-time player. Doty from the corner. Makes it look easy. Get used to that. Carolyn Doty, Sweet Caroline from the corner. What do you like about this shot from Doty?
I love the penetration and the kick out. Doty is so quick to set up, so all she's got to do is catch and shoot. You got her with one of the quickest releases you'll see, and the accuracy is unbelievable. She's second in the country for 3-point shooting, only trailing Christy Tolliver from Maryland, shooting 60% before this game today from behind the 3-point line. That's better than some post shoot in the paint.
Caroline did not play high school basketball as a senior. She tore her ACL on the soccer field. So she missed her entire basketball season, and she's been living in ice baths and whirlpools, trying to rehab. So many ACL tears.
Such a bigger part of the women's game than it is men, and you know, you can just probably relate that obviously to the different makeup and bodies, but the fact that we saw Maya McCurdy earlier from Rutgers, Caroline Doty from UConn. UConn's had some issues a lot in the past couple years with ACL tears, but how hard they work to come back is truly amazing.
Nice little pull-up by Tyra Grant. Should be mentioned that Brianna O'Rourke for Penn State now on the bench with 4 fouls. UConn showing that they can run, also showing that they can be effective slowing it down. Doty. Strong. Put back by Maya Moore.
And there's a perfect example of a second chance opportunity. If you're Penn State, you can't afford for those things to happen.
Maya Moore has 13. Relentlessness in the paint. UConn up. UConn has won 92 straight games against non-ranked opponents. This is their largest lead in this ball game. They're up by 15. Penn State led in the first half, 19-18, but UConn finished the first half on a 16-2 run. They've kind of strangled any Penn State emotion.
And you give a lot of credit from that to Tina Charles. She's got 19 points and 14 boards. And she's come out and really had great focus and energy that I've seen in the paint.
She has been there from the start. Our Melissa Knowles has more on Tina Charles.
Charles is actually best friends with Epiphany Prince from Rutgers, and their SID told me that Epiphany Prince does not like to talk on the phone very much. What she does is text people all day. The only phone call she'll take every single day is Tina Charles. And Tina Charles actually was the first person to tell her that she was almost at 1,000 points. She didn't even know it herself, but Tina Charles was reading the game notes. How about that?
That is something. You think about the rivalry between UConn and Rutgers, and what was amazing to me during the ceremony between the games, teams standing side by side, so many friendships among these young ladies who maybe grew up in the same, played for the same high schools or know each other on the AAU circuit.
It's neat to see the friendships that develop, because you never know. Maybe you're playing on opposite sides of the floor in college, and you know, you could be playing together for a WNBA championship next season. You never know.
This UConn program in particular has been a pipeline to the WNBA. Someday Maya Moore will be a #1 overall selection. We were talking earlier about how Rutgers has expanded their recruiting base. This UConn roster, it's like United States geography. Georgia, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, Florida, Indiana, they are everywhere.
Connecticut's just like All-American U. You could change the name very easily.
I'll tell you, Tyra Grant and Mashia Williams have been outstanding for Penn State.
Tyra Grant's having an excellent season. She's averaging just over 18 points a game. She had a career-high 6 steals against Texas A&M, and she had 22 points that game as well. So she's putting together some nice performances, and I think Penn State will be a force in the Big Ten Conference.
She has 17. She's from Youngstown, Ohio. Went to the same high school as Penn State quarterback Darryl Clark. He will lead the Nittany Lions against USC in the Rose Bowl.
And she said he was a big reason why she chose to come to Penn State. Looks at him like an older brother, and you know, obviously those two have had such an impact in the games, you know, that they played throughout Penn State.
It's great to have someone in college who shares those roots. Melissa has more on Tyra Grant.
Grant is very vocal over here on the bench. When they come on the bench and she's sitting down for a second, she tells her team, you guys have got to not get mad, just get back out there. She's the kind of player who motivates them by example, and she also tells them, hey, when we make a mental mistake, we lose momentum a little bit, just get back out there. You can't sit around and stew in it and get mad. You've got to get back out.
Tyra, as a junior, you sense her leadership abilities. Twice now, as a freshman and a sophomore, she led Penn State in scoring, but I think she sees the big picture now, wanting to get this program back into the NCAA tournament.
I agree with you there, and her alongside with Brianna O'Rourke and Mashia Williams, the time is now for these young ladies to put together a nice run for their program and to get them back to where they once were. They've got an excellent class that's come in, a young class. You know, they were very much guard-oriented, guard stacked. They've got some tall players coming in, 6'3" and 6'4" in the front court. So this year, as well as next, looks very promising.
2-on-1, Lady Lions run. Emily Phillips, freshman from South Bend, Indiana, draws the foul. She is a defensive dynamo. Really prefers the up-tempo style, and you can see her speed now getting counseled on the sideline. Actually, that was an offensive foul, my fault.
Well, Renee Montgomery set up perfectly and anticipated Williams running right into her, or Phillips rather, running right into her, and that's just the difference between a senior and a freshman.
Perimeter passing by UConn. Hayes baseline, and that's a turnover. At first glance, I thought this was a defensive foul. What's your call?
I think it could have gone either way, but Renee was able to set herself up and get her feet set at least. Was her body moving? Kind of questionable, but call's been made, and that's that, I suppose.
We move on,
right? And we move on.
Hayes. Montgomery in the lane, kick out to Maya Moore. Bullseye.
She looks good, and she'll never be phased. She could miss 25 shots in a row. It doesn't matter. The next one will look exactly as the one it did before in terms of form and grace. She's a very confident player, and that's what makes her so special.
She has 16. And this is where UConn can really strangle you from a tempo standpoint. They don't have the lulls that other teams have. It's just push, 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 push.
And anytime they substitute, you've got one All-American coming in for another. So there's no letdown. Everybody's going to have fresh legs. Regina will not allow his players to take one play off.
Maya Moore, we've seen the multi-dimensional skill set today. She is the face of women's college basketball.
Well,
Gates, it's college hockey on ESPNU this afternoon. RPI taking on Miami of Ohio, the Redhawks from Oxford, Ohio. It's college hockey coming up next on ESPNU. Slap shots. No fighting in college hockey, which is kind of nice. Rangers make their home here at Madison Square Garden. They had a game last night. They just put this court down over the ice. The only time they take the ice away here in Madison Square Garden is for the Westminster Kennel Dog Show and the circus. The animals have some kind of phobia of walking up.
Very interesting to learn that this morning. You'd never think that that'd be such an issue, but I guess if you're walking around your bare feet, you might have an issue with walking over just a few inches of ice.
Tiffany Hayes baseline, Maya Moore, tough turnaround jumper. Tyra Grant getting a sense for whether Penn State has the numbers game or not. Good pass inside. Partially blocked by UConn, and they control. So an opportunity for Penn State, foiled at the last second.
It takes so much energy and effort to break that press. You find a good opportunity for an easy lay-in, and who's there to make sure it doesn't happen? Tina Charles.
Penn State now extending their defense, and they are burnt by some quick passing. What are the question marks about UConn? Big picture. #1 team in the country, unanimous #1. What's a potential weakness?
Well, the only time I've seen a weakness so far this afternoon has been with their shooting. And if someone can catch them on an off day when they're not shooting real well, to get them to play out of sync as Penn State did in the first half, you know, there's not many teams that are going to come out and play more aggressive than UConn Huskies. The talent's there, the hard work's there. You know, all the pieces are put together in place for them. So if they have an off day and somebody can jump over that and take advantage of it, that's the only way I see them having a misstep and a loss.
UConn's last national championship back in 2004, 36-2 a year ago. A regular season loss to Rutgers, and then they lost in the Final Four to Stanford.
It's really hard to believe it's been that long since a championship, because every season it seems throughout the year, UConn is by far the most talented team. But again, as I was just saying, you know, catch them on the right night, anybody can win in the NCAA tournament as well. So
Great dish. Montgomery to Moore. And more perimeter passing. Here comes Penn State. Mashia Williams to Grant. Excellent hustle by Tiffany Hayes. And fans here like that transition defense.
You see again, no one takes a play off. As soon as the ball's turned over, you've got the hustle speeding back down the floor. Montgomery was able to slow the play just enough for Tiffany Hayes to jump in and get the deflection. See Coach Vivian Stringer there.
Rutgers playing in our first game, beating Army, and this is a cause that is close to Vivian Stringer's heart. She lost her husband back in 1992. He was in his 40s, and he had a heart attack. This is a cause that she feels very strongly for. Maggie Dixon Classic. She was actually on Oprah on Wednesday. An incredible story in the adversity that Vivian Stringer has faced away from basketball in terms of her upbringing, her family life, and for her to achieve what she has in the basketball court is just amazing.
It is amazing. She's to touch on that tough life. She grew up in a very small town of West Virginia. Family didn't have a lot of money growing up, so everything she got, she had to work extremely hard for. She's got a daughter who was diagnosed early with spinal meningitis, a son who almost passed away in a car accident, and her husband Bill, who was lost to a heart attack. Just a series of events that she's overcome. Amazing
What she has accomplished in the face of such adversity. She's actually also a breast cancer survivor. Tempo picking up here at Madison Square Garden. Brooke Weisbrod, I'm Clint Kesnick with Melissa Knowles, our entire ESPNU crew. This is the Maggie Dixon Classic, the third annual time this event has been held. It honors the memory of Maggie Dixon. She was the former head coach at Army, who led the cadets to their first ever NCAA appearance back in 2006 and tragically died weeks later at the age of 28. We celebrate her memory today, and we also look forward in terms of awareness, preventative medicine, CARE today, an organization that works to fund research and awareness. They have held a Heart Healthy Expo. O'Rourke off the bench. She has 4 fouls.
Penn State surprisingly only down 12 at this point. I think that's an excellent move by Coach Washington to put her back in the game. Thank you for making me look like a genius there, Brianna. Appreciate that.
Coach Brooke. And O'Rourke now has 10. Margin is only 9.
Got to take the risk, even though your leader was sitting on the bench with 4 fouls. She's smart enough as a player to really stay out of it. And look at her getting after the tip there. You can see the difference it makes when she's in the basketball game right away. And against a great defender in Lauren Dixon, and that's a nice screen to set up. And she took Lauren Dixon away from the basketball. Was able to come off the screen by Wolf for the easy shot. The tough shot, actually.
Montgomery, steal. She has more. Elects to take it up strong herself. No good. Williams, kick out. O'Rourke. Oh, that would have been a big shot for Penn State. Under 8 minutes. Nittany Lions started strong. Can they finish strong? Final 8 minutes after this. Penn State on a 7-0 run. And there is Tina Charles. She was on the bench prior to that timeout. And you got the feeling that that wasn't a good timeout in terms of Penn State's momentum.
It stopped their run, and you said it stopped their momentum. You put Tina Charles back in the game, who has been the reason UConn has even kept their lead this afternoon.
Maya Moore from the elbow. Charles has 23. Moore has 18.
Critical possession here for Penn State. They've got to get a good shot off and try and cut down the momentum that UConn generated. And how about that?
Jaquay Gray, the freshman from Chicago. She can shoot the 3. That's why she's in the game. Under 7 minutes to go. UConn unanimous #1. They haven't really played a close game yet, folks. Their margin of victory so far this year, 39 points. This is a new experience.
It's the first time they've been challenged, so you'd have to think Coach Auriemma is a little concerned in how they will respond. And he's mentioned that before. We've played some great games. You know, they played a top team in Oklahoma, but again, by this time in that game, the score was way out of hand.
Gray off target. UConn coming off a 10-day break. Final exams. They'll travel to Mexico. And there's one of the 3 premier players. That is Renee Montgomery. She's got 13. Maya Moore, Tina Charles. That is the nucleus of the #1 ranked team in the nation.
And that's only the 7th three-pointer UConn's hit this afternoon. They've taken almost 30 shots from behind the three-point line, but they refuse to let up. If they've got the open shot, you're going to take it. They're going to feel completely comfortable with putting the ball in the hands of Renee Montgomery, whether she's missed 5 or 15 shots in a row. It doesn't matter.
5 national championships for Coach Ariemo. He's in both Hall of Fames, the men's and the women's. Approaching 700 wins and a flawless graduation rate.
Just a, as it says here, tradition of excellence coming out of UConn. And he's been doing this for 24 years and just overtook Pat Summitt as the winningest active coach after Tennessee lost to Virginia. Now it's only by 1/100 of a point, but you know, it's still a win. He's still ahead.
You know what amazes me is the way they love being #1. They want that pressure. They want those expectations. They want that attention.
Brianne O'Rourke wants to stay back in this game. She's doing a great job keeping them within 10. Just under 6 minutes left. Penn State's got a good shot.
It starts with the defense for the Lady Lions. Grant, great hands. Key turnover. 3-on-3 for O'Rourke. She wanted the foul, no call. Melissa Knowles has more on Brianne O'Rourke.
Her parents, Joe and Norma Jean, are in the stands right now, and I just talked to them about where does she get that firecracker power coming out so fast. And they said, you know, she's got 2 older brothers who are both point guards, and she's always tried to size up and jump up right in against them, and she's never had any hesitation going against any bigger component, especially somebody who's ranked #1.
The margin is under 10. O'Rourke wants to be a coach after graduating from Penn State. She started playing basketball as a 5-year-old. You see that fire.
She got voted as the gym rat of the team, so she's obviously put her time in. And you can see what develops when you go against some older brothers. You know that they didn't let up on her for one bit, and you got to think that that's helped to pay off. And as we look at the UConn bench, Coach Ariemo trying to put together some strategy here. Again, they've yet to be in this type of position this season. So this is the first time that they've had to react to a close game. And, you know, Penn State's doing a great job of, as we've said all day, playing with little to no intimidation.
Yeah, that's a great point you make, Brooke, because from the start of this game, there was no intimidation. They were playing loose and free and aggressive. It's everything you want, given the spotlight of this event.
I think the tone got set with Coquise Washington in the locker room. And she comes from such a historic program at Notre Dame, and she's used to these big types of games. Tina Charles used to making some big shots.
That is pinpoint passing. Kylie McLaren inside to Tina Charles. You couldn't draw it up better. Margin is 10 with 5 minutes to go. Charles has 25. Grant has been everywhere for the Lady Lions.
You applaud the effort of Kylie McLaren trying to set up for the charge. What an excellent backdoor cut and read by Tyra Grant. She sees the defense overcommitting here. Look at backdoor on Maya Moore. Good help side defense by McLaren. Couldn't get there in time to set up for the charge. And Grant goes down hard for the 2nd time today.
Win or lose, this performance by Penn State, I think sends a warning flare out to the rest of the Big Ten. Penn State predicted to finish in the bottom 1/3 of that conference, behind teams like Michigan State, Ohio State, Purdue, and Minnesota. But if they can generate some positive momentum from this game, who knows?
It's a brand new season for Penn State. Now, last season, they had 12 consecutive losses after opening up 3-0 in Big Ten play. And they were the worst defensive team in the Big Ten. So you can see it this afternoon. They've done an excellent job in shutting down most of Connecticut's offense, minus Tina Charles.
UConn going big right now with McLaren and Charles in the game. Charles has had a monster night, stripped by Grant. O'Rourke playing with 4 fouls. Grant over Moore. Big rebound here. It's O'Rourke. One more pass. How about the rejection from Charles? Big block.
Big time player making big time plays. Now you got the 3-point shot missed, but who's there to clean it up? The one who's done everything off the stat sheet today, Maya Moore. Wow, what a block by Tina Charles.
3 blocks by Tina Charles. And the timing, just a huge play as Penn State was looking to pull that margin within 6 points.
Well, she doesn't tend to too many ball fakes, and when you talk about blocks, you talk all about timing and really reading the offense and when they're going up for a shot. I'm only 5'7", so I didn't block a lot of shots in my time, but everything you read and see about these talented players who can put those together say you have to anticipate well, and to not foul while you're doing it is a special.
Long rebound to Grant. 10-point game with 4 minutes to go. Penn State, 3 straight losing seasons. Baseline jumper, smooth. Janessa Wolf.
It's an excellent play there by Penn State. She got that shot because of Brianna O'Rourke coming off the screen, made Kylie McLaren come all the way up top, and it was able to get her open for that baseline jumper.
Can Penn State get a stop? Dixon's hammered.
I'll tell you what, Dixon may have gotten away with the travel when she caught the ball there on the wing.
The margin is 8. Penn State, the Lady Lions are hanging around. Upset alert for UConn. Penn State has not beaten a #1 ranked team since 1991. They trailed by 16. The margin is 8 right now. UConn's Tina Charles, 6'4" junior. Is she the best center in the country?
If she's not, she's darn near close. Look at the presence that she makes down in the lane, and watch this feed from Maya Moore, the no-look pass, the easy finish here, then off the fast break. Tina Charles remains. She doesn't hit it the first time, but she goes back. Second, third chance opportunities, 25 points, 17 boards, and 3 blocks. So she's doing it on both ends of the floor.
She's 8 of 14. Coming into this game, she was shooting 70%, leading the nation in field goal percentage. Quick math says that that'll actually drop. 8 of 14 will actually drop that 70 total.
Should.
Are you a math major?
Oh, no. Absolutely not.
Dixon. Lauren Dixon averaging 15 minutes a ball game. Sophomore from Queens, New York.
Can't say it enough how crucial every possession is now for Penn State.
UConn really stretching their defense, kind of denying Brianna O'Rourke. Rashia Williams has a size advantage over Dixon, but you see the quickness. Shot clock at 6.
Hard for Mashia Williams to get that pass back over to Janessa Wolf. We saw her hit that shot just a few minutes ago from the baseline, but very hard to pass around somebody like Tina Charles, who's 6'4" and probably has a wingspan a lot longer than that.
6 seconds, got to dial up a shot. Rebound, Lady Lions, and a foul. So the second chance by Mashia Williams. This Maggie Dixon classic. That is Jamie Dixon, current head coach, University of Pittsburgh, the older brother of Maggie. He's been here all day. Fresh off a victory on Saturday against UMBC at Pittsburgh.
Jamie's got such a good smile and energy that you can see just come straight from the family.
last year, I had the opportunity to cover a Pitt at Villanova game, and it was when Pitt was in the midst of, they got hit by a horrendous injury situation last year. They lost 2 starters, and he held the ship together like nothing I've ever seen. It was just amazing, refusing to wilt, and they put together a magnificent season. He is something else in terms of leadership and rallying the troops. Tina Charles. 27 points. Energy and intensity.
There's not much that she hasn't done for this team today. I mean, the position that she makes herself so big, and look at the move again. A lot of times she catches the ball, she immediately gets double or even triple teamed in that sense, but she makes the heady play, goes around the defenders, and look at the free throws, 9 of 10 this season, or today, and the season only shooting 59%.
I love the way she plays at that intensity level, but then can just keep it for the entire game. It's not an on and off type thing with Tina Charles. Rejection. Maya Moore, look out. Was thinking about a dunk. And quickly UConn spurts out to a 12-point lead.
Well, she says her hands get too sweaty, not allowing her to dunk the basketball. Maya, take a page out of the LeBron James commercial, put some talcum powder on those hands and throw one down for us.
Tina Charles, 27 points, 4 blocks, 17 rebounds, as UConn now has a 12-point lead, their largest lead, 16. Anytime Penn State cut it to 8, there's UConn to answer.
Well, anyone on the UConn bench could really step up at any given day. It's been a few players throughout the season so far. Today, it's been all Tina Charles, and why not? You know, she comes from New York City, went to Christ the King High School, a historically fantastic program throughout the years. She's putting on a show for the hometown crowd today.
Special afternoon for Tina Charles. UConn finishing up their final exam week. They'll fly to Cancun. The next time you can see them on an ESPN network is January 19th at North Carolina. And that is one that every women's college basketball fan is going to want to watch.
That's on my radar.
January 19th on ESPN2. They play on national TV 9 times. That's more than most men's programs.
You know, to make a quick point about Tina Charles, when she blocks your shot, it's not just a block. She humiliates you. And I can't imagine being someone like a Brianna O'Rourke trying to go up against her and putting up a shot, thinking it might end up in the second or third row.
Turnover by UConn on that inbounds. Grant stripped. Grant over Green. Great defense. How about the hands in the face?
Excellent defense. And that's a tough shot to try and pull off if you're Tyra Grant. And you can see Coach Washington, that's not what she wanted. And if those are the types of shots that you have to take to try and get back in this ballgame, it's not going to work for you.
The combination of footwork by Kalena Green and then that closing ability. UConn now working the clock, under 2 minutes to go in this ball game. This is a severe test. Potential three-point, NBA three-point. And this experience of a pseudo-close game will pay dividends for UConn.
I think for UConn, they can feel happy about the fact that they were challenged and they were able to respond well when they needed it most and look to one of their leaders, Tina Charles, to pull them out of a tough situation.
Montgomery, rejection, Grant. And that's going to be a foul, I believe, against Kalena Green.
They're both going after the loose ball. Kalena Green, most times you give that call to the offensive player You know, Kalena Green, a little bit of a bump there, but really both players just lost their balance.
Incidental contact.
Incidental contact. And in most cases, you will give the offensive player the benefit of the doubt.
Penn State will go back to campus. Guess what welcomes these young ladies? Final exams. Oh, man.
Dun, dun, dun. At least they get a holiday break after that.
There is nothing.
Probably filled with two-a-days, though.
Nothing worse. Tyra Grant has 25. Coming off a 24-point effort against Bucknell. Off the dribble, Grant and Mashia Williams have been unstoppable.
Grant's played an excellent game today. How many times have we seen her attack the basket, end up on the floor? She's going to walk away here with at least 3 or 4 bruises. But you got to love the effort and the confidence that the Nittany Lions have played with.
Kalena Green, sensing the pressure, takes it to the rack. Renee Womack picked off by Montgomery. Under a minute to go. UConn will salt this one away. They're up a dozen.
And throughout this game, you never saw the Lady Huskies lose their composure. You know, they were down early in the game, came back with a nice lead. Then Penn State clawed their way back into the game, but this is what it's been like. You've got Maya Moore throwing the pass down to Tina Charles, who has set the tone with 29 points. Just an excellent day for Tina Charles.
And the precision of that touch pass by Maya Moore. O'Rourke, playing with 4 fouls, travels there. Okay, she is fun to watch. You just feel uplifting watching her energy. Fans now coming to their feet here in Madison Square Garden. Rutgers beat Army in game 1. And UConn and the Big East flex their muscles. They will remain the #1 team in the nation. They'll improve to 7-0. Penn State will fall to 5-5. I think both teams take positives away from this game.
Absolutely, and the bigger side has got obviously to go to Penn State for putting up such a tough fight against the top-ranked UConn Huskies. But if you're Connecticut, you can look at this as, this is the first time we've been challenged. How did we respond to that? They didn't shoot real well for the afternoon, and that's something to work on and to improve. But overall, I thought they did an excellent job of keeping their composure.
Tina Charles, the hero for UConn, 29 points, 18 rebounds, 4 blocks. If she's not the best center in the country, who is?
Well, the only argument you have, I think, in that case is Courtney Paris. They play 2 completely different styles of basketball. Courtney Paris makes her argument because of the historic streak that she's put together with her double-doubles. But right now, you've got the #1 team in the country, and, you know, you've got 3 cases. You got Maya Moore as the best player, Renee Montgomery as the best point guard. Tina Charles is right there as one of the best centers.
And she is standing by right now with our Melissa Knowles.
Tina, you had 29 points tonight, 18 boards, but this was really the first time that we saw your team facing some challenges. How are you able to get out there and execute and gel together as a team?
I think it just comes from practice. You know, we have practice players that's with us through everything, and they just go hard all the time. And I think that's what helped us today, just how to learn through controversy.
And you saw how Penn State came out hard. This is something you could see later on into the season. Being the #1 team right now, how do you guys respond from week to week when you know you're going to see this kind of pressure?
I just think it's just us playing Connecticut basketball. I think people like Shea Ralph and Jamel Elliott, they paved the way, and just growing up and watching them play, and you see how hard they're playing, so it just wants us to play hard at the same time.
Thanks. Congratulations on the win today. Quint, back to you.
Thank you, Melissa. Tina Charles, extremely impressive. We're going to step away for a moment. When we come back, we're going to wrap up this full day of activity from the Maggie Dixon Classic.